this. You are lying.
I caught the phone call. You told me about the dude.
You're lying.
You told me about the dude.
Well,
Mr. Dan
say she told you the baby wasn't even yours.
Thank you. Thank you. You didn't want to go to...
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Yes, you may, sweetie.
You messed my life up. You know that now. Because, huh?
Take your time.
I mean, I can't teach my son how to be a man. So.
I will.
This story begins with 3 kids, 2 moms, and 1 day. The 2 sons, Victor and Maurice, share the same mom. The mom told them Victor Medley is their father. He even gave Victor Jr. the same name as him. However, when these 2 brothers connected with Victor Sr., he claimed not to know them.
Mr. Heron and Mr. Medley, you are here to prove to Mr. Medley Sr. that you are indeed his son.
Yes, Your
And
Honor.
say results of today's DNA test will force him to stop denying you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Victor Medley Sr. started by doubting the paternity of all 3 of these kids, which was too much to take for both plaintiffs, as this had affected their childhood. Which brought us to the relationship timeline. Mr. Medley told the court that after hitting it off with their mom and having a committed relationship with her, they heard rumors that she was cheating.
How difficult your life has been without having a father.
It affected me in life. Want to know why he wasn't in my life? Why would you give me your full name as a junior? Why would you sign my birth certificate? If you deny me as your child, it hurts me like all get out.
The alleged father further disclosed that when the son's mom got pregnant, he talked to his pastor and told him to marry her, so he did. However, at that time, rumors of her cheating increased. He even went to audition for a band where one of the band members claimed to have slept with his wife, not knowing she was married.
You claim you went to your pastor once you learned she was pregnant.
Yes.
And what did your pastor tell you?
Do the right thing, make her an honorable woman.
Basically, you married her even though you had doubts.
Yes.
You also claim you heard from another band member.
Yes.
Sadly, after the wifey passed, the defendant went full throttle with his denial. The only silver lining was the loving grandmother, who acted contrary to her son and was present for every milestone. She would tell them that it doesn't matter how their father acts because she knows they're truly her grandkids, and nothing can change that.
When his mother died, he was nowhere in our lives before then. His mom came down for Christmases,
birthdays,
everything.
Gave us and she
everything.
treated us like we was her grandkids.
When
she told us no matter what your daddy say, you guys are always gonna be my grandkids. And that hurts me so much to hear this man sit here in this courtroom and lie to you like that.
Miss Johnson was also in the courtroom because she believed Mr. Medley was her father. She says she grew up all her life doubting her paternity until she asked her mother who her father is, and she gave her Mr. Medley's name. So, can the DNA test resolve the problems this family is having?
Mr. Medley Sr., you are not her father.
Okay.
Mr. Medley, what are you feeling now?
I don't know. I thought she was my daughter.
Mr. Hill has brought Miss Harris to court because he doesn't believe he is her son, Diamond's father. He says he has petitioned the court for years and was never granted permission for a DNA test, but he has finally established reasonable doubt.
Ms. Harris, you state that Mr. Hill was insecure and jealous when you dated.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you argue that Mr. Hill and your son are the spitting image of one another, and you are convinced he is Tamond's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Hill, you're paying $50,000 in child support.
Yes, Your Honor.
To Miss Harris, these allegations made no sense from the start because she didn't sleep with anybody else in the time that they were together. However, Mr. Hill refused to believe the lie because she confessed to sleeping with someone else when they briefly broke up once.
Why would he manufacture these doubts?
Because the alleged claim person that I supposed to slept with, he was my friend.
Excuse
my
me,
mother
Your Honor.
knows him and everything.
We broke up at least about 6 times. And
He's a
actually,
lie.
maybe the next to last time we broke up, she got mad at me because I couldn't go on a trip with her.
And when the birth certificate part came, the alleged father claimed that he was too naive and signed the certificate out of best intentions and paid so much money in child support, not knowing if Tamond was truly his.
I paid over $50,000 $1,000 in child support, not knowing what to do, who to talk to, who to lead me and guide me in that right direction, telling me, don't sign the birth until, since you have these doubts, don't tell, you need to find out if this is really your
These
child.
doubts just came. You never had doubts.
Different
You are
occasions.
amazed, happy because this was your first child.
Up next, Miss Harris's mother takes the witness stand next and angrily asks Mr. Hill if he's crazy. She says it's laughable that Mr. Hill is doubting Tamond's paternity when the kid looks exactly like him. She says she knows for sure her daughter did not cheat at that time, and Tamond is surely Mr. Hill's son.
You need to be ashamed of yourself. Are you blind, Chris? Are you blind?
I'm not blind.
Do you see him, Chris?
That look exactly like
Do you see him, Chris?
Well, your daughter shouldn't have
Your
been
other
with somebody
children do
else
not
telling me
look
what
like
to
you.
do.
You need to have them on paternity court back in front of this judge, because he looks like you, they don't.
Tamond's grandmother testified all she wanted was for Mr. Hill to have a relationship with his son. Judge Lauren talks to Tamond next, who says he knows Mr. Hill as his father, and he has also regularly paid child support, but he has played no active role in his life, and he wishes he was more present.
He won't even come and spend any time with his son. We don't want to beat you up like you used to get beat up. We don't want to beat you up. All we ask you to do is spend some time with your son. So, you know.
And I know this is hard for you to listen to. What has this been like? Did you grow up with the understanding that Mr. Hill was your father, your biological father?
Tamond told the court that Mr. Harris used to send him angry messages about the money, demanding a DNA test every once in a while. Mr. Hill also says if Tamond is proven to not be his, he will fight to take back his child support payments in court. So, could the DNA test resolve this family's dilemma?
Mr. Hill, you are his father.
Can I say something, Your Honor? Can I say
I
something?
think you owe my son an apology.
Excuse me. That's exactly what I'm finna do. Tomorrow, I apologize for not being in your life, not doing what I needed to do.
Miss Jacobs brought Mr. Walker to court because she believes he is her biological father, but feels hurt because he abandoned her immediately after her 14th birthday. Mr. Walker says he heard a very damning conversation between his wife and her family, which cast paternity doubts, due to which he left.
On her 14th birthday, Your Honor, we were outside celebrating with 4th of July. I heard an argument inside the house. So I go in to see what's going on, and my ex-wife, her mother, and her sister was in there, and she was screaming at her mother like she was drinking, so she was being belligerent and stuff. She's like, well, you know there's a chance they're not his kids, and I don't know what to do.
Miss Jacobs says she had no idea all of this had happened and felt like her father had walked out on her for no reason. She says she had to be placed in foster care after her father left. Mr. Walker moved to another state, and she lost all contact with him for several years.
Why would you do it now, 14 years later, at her party, when we're supposed to be having a good time with her birthday, and you wait?
What happens at that point? The relationship ended. You ended the relationship.
That's correct.
Miss Jacobs says she felt really abandoned and purposefully got pregnant at 16 so she could be emancipated. Mr. Walker says he had no idea all of this was happening because he had kicked his wife out after the paternity mess came to light, and family members told him they often overheard his wife cheating in his absence.
It was really hard. I actually ended up getting pregnant when I was 16 just to be emancipated.
So you got pregnant on purpose?
Yes, Your Honor.
It's obvious that you were looking for the family you didn't have.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Walker, you had no idea your daughter was going through all of this?
No, Your Honor.
Miss Jacobs says she learned the truth when she was about to give birth to her daughter at the age of 17. She wanted her father there, but her mother told her there was no need for it, as he probably isn't even her biological father. Miss Jacobs says she also saw her mother cheating when she was young.
When I was 16, I told my mother that I didn't want to be around anymore, that I wanted my dad to come down for my daughter's birth, well, her birth. I had her when I was 17. And when my mom found out, she was like, I don't know why you would want him to be there. He's not your real father anyways. That means he's not her grandfather. That's when I looked at her. I kept her out of the birthing room when I gave birth to my daughter.
Miss Jacobs says she remembers the incident vividly because the person she cheated with was her father's relative. She relayed whatever she had seen to her father, who confronted his wife about it. She denied everything by saying Miss Jacobs was making up stories. Mr. Walker said a young kid is incapable of doing that.
He confronted her. She told him that I was lying, I was making up stories. My dad looked at her and was like, I don't understand how you think a 5-year-old has the time to sit around and make up stories about adult content.
Mr. Walker says that when he took his wife to court for the divorce, all he asked for was the kids. His wife wanted the property and the house. He says he fought for the kids for years and had paperwork to back that up, but the court always favored his ex-wife because she accused Mr. Walker of being a drug addict.
The only thing she wanted in the divorce was the property and the contents of the house. And I said, give me my kids, you can have everything, anything you want. I brought the divorce papers with me to back that up as evidence. I've done nothing but fight for these kids, Your Honor. I love my children. My children are my world.
He said he showed all this paperwork to his daughter when they reunited. Miss Jacobs says she feels terrible because she said many hurtful things to her father when they first met again due to her mother's brainwashing. So, will the DNA results give this father-daughter duo their happy ending?
You are Aisha's father.
I love you.
I hope that now that you have the truth.
Miss Ellis brought Mr. Coger to court because she says they had a brief fling, after which she became pregnant. Mr. Coger says he can't be the father of the baby because he is sure they did not have intercourse. Judge Lauren is very confused by this and asks him to explain the situation.
Ms. Ellis, you claim you had a brief fling with the defendant 3 years ago. Soon after, you ended up pregnant, and now you hope to prove that he fathered your 3-year-old son, Zamarian.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Coger says he and Miss Ellis were friends and would often talk on the phone. He says one time they were hanging out when things started heating up and they decided to take it to the bedroom. However, before the act could begin, Miss Ellis expressed that she had vaginal discomfort and did not want to have sex.
When we met, we were cool, we would talk on the phone, laugh it up, stuff like that. So it came to the point where she wanted to come over and stuff like that. So she would come over, we would hang out. Over the next course of time, we ended up being home alone. There's nothing wrong with her, there was nothing wrong with me. We both was attracted to each other and came about where, hey, might want to go upstairs and, fool around, mess around or whatever.
Miss Ellis says that's not how things happened. They began having sex despite discomfort, but later on, it began hurting too much, so she told him to stop, and he did. She says this goes to show that he could be the father of her baby. Judge Lauren says both parties believe something different happened.
We were alone. We was watching a movie at the time. We was eating, chilling or whatever. And then, we started, talking about sexual stuff or whatever. We went upstairs. As he said, he got undressed, I got undressed. And I was like, okay, it hurts. And he was like, you want me to stop? So I was like, no, you can keep going or whatever. So he kept going. And so I was like, okay, now it's starting to hurt a little too bad now. Can you stop or whatever?
Judge Lauren asks Miss Ellis how she knew she was pregnant. She said she was out shopping with her mother when she blacked out. She was rushed to the hospital where some routine tests were done, and the nurse came back with the results and told her that she was pregnant. Miss Ellis was in shock and couldn't believe the nurse.
So we're walking to a shopping mall or whatever, and next thing you know, I passed out. And I had to be rushed to the hospital. I woke up, I'm in the hospital room, I'm not knowing, what's going on, what to do. And so a nurse came in the room and she was like, okay, you had passed out, we feel like you had a heat stroke, so we're gonna give you some fluids and everything, draw some blood to see what happened.
Mr. Coger said he found out about the pregnancy through Facebook. Miss Ellis had posted pictures of herself pregnant, and he messaged her to ask if there was any chance the baby could be his. Miss Ellis said she didn't want any drama as she was seeing someone else at the time, so she said no.
I had only told him and my mother, those were the only two people that knew I was pregnant. Nobody else in my family knew. He didn't know. Nobody knew I was pregnant. But
Mr. Coger didn't even know?
No.
So, Mr. Coger, how did you find out about the pregnancy?
I found out via Facebook.
Oh.
Facebook.
And I have my ultrasound picture.
Miss Ellis says she also had unprotected sex with someone else the week before she slept with Mr. Coger. She says she didn't want him involved as her boyfriend at the time wanted to take the baby's responsibility. Judge Lauren says the biological father still has the right to know. So, what are the DNA tests going to say?
You are Zamarian's father. Is your memory coming back now?
Not at all. Not at all, Your Honor.
Miss Wilson and Mr. Woody come to court to establish the paternity of their 2-month-old son, as Mr. Woody loves the kid and wants him to be his, but he has doubts, as Miss Wilson has said she also slept with someone else at the time of conception. Mr. Woody even gave the child his own name.
Mr. Woody, you are here today desperate to learn if you are the biological father of the defendant's son.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Ms. Wilson, you confess you slept with another man at the time of conception, though you honestly can't be sure who fathered your child, hoping today's results will give you that answer.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Woody says he was excited about the baby because he already has a young daughter he really loves, but wants to have a son now too. After hearing that he could be a father again, he was ecstatic to learn that he had a son he could teach baseball and basketball to, and do father-son bonding with.
I have a 3-year-old daughter already, so when I found out I was having a son, I was excited because what man doesn't want to have a junior, you know? So I got plans made, you know, I'm ready to go play baseball and basketball with them and, you know, all the stuff a father's supposed to do with his son. So I'm just ready, so I'm ready to be a father to a boy now.
Mr. Woody says he has come to really love the child and has developed an excellent relationship with him. And now he's scared that he might not be his. This comes from the fact that he and Miss Wilson were not in a relationship when they slept together. Judge Lauren remarks that it's easy to fall in love with a beautiful baby.
So you love the baby?
Yes, I thought that was it, you know, but come to find out, you know, I have my doubts about if he's mine or not.
Because you and Ms. Wilson are not in a relationship, you know that there is a strong possibility
Yes.
that this child could be someone else's.
Yes.
Miss Wilson contacted Mr. Woody on Facebook because there was no other way to contact him. She says she took various home pregnancy tests and they all came back negative. She did a blood test, which soon came back positive. Miss Wilson says she was very shocked as she didn't feel ready to have a baby.
I was walking down the street with my friend. We were drunk and we were going up to the store. He was in an apartment complex, with his daughter in a stroller, and he said, "You're cute." And I was like, "Oh, you're cute too." So we walked to the store and we walked back to my friend's house. We had intercourse.
Okay.
Mr. Woody says his girlfriend was the one responding to Miss Wilson's texts, so he didn't even know for some time that she was pregnant. He then shows Judge Lauren some text messages from Miss Wilson, which indicate she was threatening to take him to court when breaking the pregnancy news.
I have a couple of pieces of evidence, and I got the picture of me and my son, and I have the messages from Facebook.
I'm pregnant, so I hope you know we're getting a DNA test when the baby's born, and I'm hitting you up with this child support. I'll see you in court.
As read.
That's your first? You're
Hello.
gonna be a father?
Hello.
Way harsh, Miss Wilson.
Miss Wilson says she hasn't even told the other guy about the pregnancy because she had sex with Mr. Woody first. Judge Lauren says the order of intercourse doesn't matter as long as both events occurred in the period of conception. So, can the DNA test clear up this confusion?
Mr. Woody, you are not his father.
What?
Jerome, will you please have her sit down?
Was that the point where you never asked, you never mentioned it?
Yeah, but why should I have to ask who my father
but
is?
It would, yeah?
Why?
Right, you don't.
Why do I have to ask that? You damn devil, use God. I'm the devil, man. You're the devil. You're the devil. You don't get it. You're crazy.
That you just stood in this court and called your daughter a devil?
Step into a courtroom drama like no other, where a web of secrets and doubts unravels. Miss Taylor stands resolute, driven to prove the paternity of her daughter, while Mr. Thompson remains steadfast, claiming a bond that's lasted 14 years. The gripping tale unfolds, revealing the tumultuous journey and a DNA result that may prove the impossible.
You are here to prove to your ex, Mr. Thompson, that he is not your 18-year-old daughter's father. You say he's accusing you of disappearing and hiding your daughter, Miss Turner, for 14 years. Mr. Thompson, you claim you've always known Miss Turner was your child and searched for Miss Turner for 14 years.
Miss Taylor unveils a secret affair that casts a shadow of uncertainty over her daughter's paternity. Gasps fill the courtroom as her confession takes center stage, leaving the audience to ponder the real father's identity. Amidst the drama, a daughter's belief hangs in the balance, leading to a revelation that could rewrite the past.
Before I met Mr. Thompson, I was having an affair with a married man. And I didn't know if it was the married man's child or Mr. Thompson's child.
You did not tell me
and
you was with another man. You had all this other stuff going on.
As the courtroom holds its breath, a Facebook message sparks hope for Mr. Thompson after 18 years of longing. The doors open, revealing Melinda Turner, evoking applause and tears. This poignant moment marks the climax of their emotional journey, filling the room with a mixture of anticipation, joy, and relief.
2012, my mom informed me that Mr. Thompson was my biological father, and so I kind of formed a relationship with him.
Before 2012, who did you believe your father was?
I didn't have one.
In your entire life?
Yeah.
You never asked your mom, who's my father?
Nope.
In this tense exchange, emotions run high as Melinda confronts her mother about years of secrecy. The weight of the unspoken truth hangs heavily in the air, while Melinda grapples with her mother's intentions. The courtroom watches with bated breath, eager to witness the unfolding of this deeply personal confrontation.
I was at the point where you never asked, you never mentioned it.
Yeah, but why should I have to ask who my father is?
But at the end of the day, me as a mother, it's my job, regardless of however I get beat down, I was protecting you.
The way you protected me was not in the right way.
In a pivotal moment, Mr. Thompson's emotions swell as he holds the photo book containing precious memories of the daughter he's never known. The courtroom is hushed, absorbed by the significance of this reveal. As Miss Taylor offers her apologies, the weight of past decisions hangs in the air, leaving everyone on the edge of anticipation.
Is there anything else you'd like to say to your daughter?
Honestly, I just apologize to both of you for going through all of this, and I feel like I should have did more early on, and I just didn't. That's why we're here now.
The DNA results defy all expectations, revealing a truth that seemed improbable. As Judge Lake announces the outcome of the case, the weight of the moment is palpable. Tears flow as reality settles in, and the courtroom shares in the emotional journey of Mr. Thompson and Miss Turner. The impossible has been proven, reshaping their understanding of family and identity.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Thompson, you are not her father. I'm so sorry.
Hold on to your seats, folks, because today we're diving into a DNA mystery that's about to unravel in ways you won't believe. Meet Miss Myers and her mother, Miss Madrigal, as they embark on a quest to uncover the truth behind Miss Myers' biological father. 13 different men? How will the DNA result prove the paternity? It seems impossible.
You have brought your mother, Ms. Madrigal, to court today because you claim she has no idea who your biological father is. You say your mother gave you a list of 13 possible men. You admit to having a laundry list of potential fathers, but hope today answers your daughter's lifelong question.
Hold on tight as tensions escalate to an explosive clash between Miss Madrigal and her daughter Samantha. Accusations fly, and emotions reach a boiling point. But beneath the surface, a hidden truth waits to unravel, promising an unforgettable roller coaster of revelations that will rock paternity court.
I have an ex that used to preach to me all the time about having to be close to my mom, and I wanted to be right with God. So therefore,
God.
She won't even
That's
allow.
a good one. Use God. You damn devil. Use God.
I'm the devil, man. You're the devil. You're the devil. You don't get
You're realize that you just stood in this court and called your daughter a devil?
Hold on to your seats as the courtroom takes an intriguing turn. Mr. Keith McCraney and Mr. Derek Smith's names are dropped, triggering intriguing reactions. A mysterious smile, a hint of tension, and secrets ready to spill. The air is electric as Judge Lake dives into the web of emotions and connections, setting the stage for a revelation-packed showdown.
It's an evil smile and a happy smile.
An evil smile and a happy smile. Well, who's the evil smile for?
Keith.
Keith. So I take it we don't care for him.
I don't like him.
Why do you feel that way?
He's just inappropriate with me. And when I'm at the airport, he's talking about how sexy I am.
You're beautiful, so I mean, what's that, maybe a compliment?
Miss Madrigal's friend at Mr. McCraney's house turns out to be the same person from Samantha's earlier testimony. Aha! And the intrigue deepens as Samantha recounts her teenage meeting with Mr. McCraney and a startling revelation about his girlfriend's child. It's a puzzle of relationships and revelations that'll leave you on the edge of your seat.
When is the first time you remember meeting Mr. McCraney?
I was 13 and I was going into 14.
Your mother, Ms. Madrigal, stated that you spent the weekend at one of his girlfriend's house.
I stayed the night over with him and his girlfriend and her kids.
Yes.
Come to find out that one of her kids was his child.
Tensions escalate as emotions explode, revealing deep-seated pain and resentment. The confrontation takes a gut-wrenching turn as past wounds resurface between Monica and her mother. With raw honesty, they clash over identity, responsibility, and love. Their passionate exchange exposes the heartache beneath the surface, leaving everyone gripped by the intensity of their struggle.
I don't know why you're crying.
Because I shouldn't have to go through this. I'm 26 years old with my own kids.
It doesn't
I shouldn't
matter
have to go
because
through
I'm
this
your mama and I'm your daddy, and that's what I've been. So
No, you're not my daddy. You ain't my mama. You
can
ain't been my
save
mama or
it.
my
You can
daddy.
save it. You
So
can
I'm
tell
not
these people
hearing
what you
it.
want. They don't live in my shoes. I raised you, so all this other doesn't even matter. I would die for you, so stop the rest.
Tension fills the room as possibilities loom. 2 tested, 11 remain. Is it even possible that one of the 2 of them is the father? Hope hinges on Monica's paternity. The envelope opens, hearts race, but the truth stings. Amid tears, bonds remain unbroken. Love triumphs even as disappointment settles.
It has been determined by this court that you are the father.
There it is.
Did you faint, Mr. McCraney?
They must have got their test mixed up
You
or
are
something
the
backstage.
father.
There's no way. They must have got their test mixed up or something.
A high-stakes battle begins as $21,000 in child support debt hangs over Mr. Whistler. A son's paternity, shrouded in doubt, fuels the fiery dispute. With a mere $70 left after garnishments, he seeks liberation from the burden. But Miss Frazier's cool demeanor belies a hidden truth.
You claim you currently owe almost $21,000 in back child support
Yes, Your Honor.
for the defendant's son. Miss Frazier, you admit you've always known the plaintiff may not be your son's biological father, but acknowledge he's been held financially responsible for him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Amidst the emotional turmoil, a pivotal moment arises. A birth certificate, a last name, and a father's pride. Mr. Whistler reveals the weight of the past, recounting the pact they made. Yet, the truth unravels. Another man's involvement. A shocking revelation that shakes the foundation of certainty.
You told me if I wanted that kid to have my last name and I wanted to claim him, I would be there for the birth.
Yeah.
And I was there.
That's
and
why
I
you got
did
your
it.
last name.
And then it come out a little while later that you had been sleeping with this other man.
You knew.
Yeah, at 6 months after birth.
In a new twist, Miss Owsley, Mr. Whistler's fiancée, steps into the spotlight armed with crucial evidence about the daunting implications of unpaid child support. The threat of jail time looms over the conversation, casting a shadow of uncertainty. The stakes have skyrocketed as the web of consequences expands.
So your concern is your fiance could go to jail for failure to pay child support.
Yes.
And I've seen them take people for less than the $21,000. I see them go for $5,000, $6,000. And it's just not right, you know, for me to be in this position because of this lady.
Miss Frazier reveals the complexities of arranging visits between Mr. Whistler and their son, Dallas. The tension escalates as accusations fly, painting a vivid picture of a strained relationship. But amidst the chaos, one question lingers. Why was access to Dallas so tightly controlled? The puzzle pieces of their fractured connection begin to fall into place.
I have traveled over 300 miles to come and see him, and I would call.
At your convenience.
I would call and ask Miss Frazier, could I come by and see Dallas when I get there? Sure. Then when I would get up there on my way over, I would call and say, I'm on my way. Oh, we're somewhere else. We ain't at home. We can't do it today.
In a riveting moment, Dallas, the young man at the heart of the dispute, steps into the courtroom. All eyes are on him as he faces the truth about his parentage. The weight of his decision to reveal his beliefs hangs in the air. His candid response unveils a conflicted history where doubt and uncertainty have loomed.
Do you believe Mr. Whistler is your biological father?
As I was growing up, I did believe he was my father, but I was always told that it could be somebody else.
Have you ever met this other man?
Yes, I have.
You have. Do you refer to him as Dad?
I did one time, but that was just to get his attention.
Do you have a relationship with that man?
Not anymore.
The moment of truth arrives. Mr. Whistler braces himself for the verdict that could shatter or redefine his life. Judge Lake's pronouncement echoes like a revelation, and the tension fills the air. In an emotional exchange, Mr. Whistler and Dallas share their feelings. The weight of the truth hangs over them, leaving them with bittersweet closure.
When it comes to the paternity of Mr. Dallas Whistler, Mr. Whistler, you are not his father.
Dallas, that still is not going to change my love for you and wanting to spend time with you.
The courtroom buzzes with tension as Miss Cotton steps forward, determined to clear the air about her daughter's paternity. Mr. Pendleton and his mother assert their conviction that he couldn't be the father due to a supposed inability. Is it not impossible to prove paternity in DNA result?
You say Mr. Pendleton's meddling mother is the reason he is denying your 5-month-old daughter, Love Cotton. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Pendleton, you are here today with your mother, and you both believe that it's impossible that you fathered Miss Cotton's daughter because you are unable to have children. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
In a fiery confrontation, Miss Cotton challenges Mr. Pendleton about their daughter's features. Tension mounts as doubts linger. Judge Lake lightens the mood with the baby, while Christine, the mother-in-law, advises caution. Amid accusations, love for the baby and family bonds sway, teetering on the edge.
Don't get me wrong.
She have her features?
Don't get me wrong. She
Like,
beautiful. Like, she gorgeous. You know, she a baby. Babies don't start developing.
Oh, she's so precious.
Thing.
You just thanked me. You just thanked me like that was your daughter.
Your Honor, the only thing I've done is tell him, do not get attached to this child until you find out whether or not she's yours.
In a tangled web of confusion, Mr. Pendleton expresses his uncertainty, prompting Miss Cotton to recount discrepancies in her conception date. Judge Lake navigates the tension, probing for clarity. Miss Cotton's assertiveness shines, but a reminder to keep her cool resonates. Family dynamics and conception intricacies intertwine, adding layers of intrigue.
And they were trying to tell me that I wasn't as far as I knew I was. Like, they tried to make it seem like I wasn't in my pregnancy, but I knew I was farther than what they were saying.
So you basically knew more than the doctor.
It's my body.
Is this your first baby?
No, it's not.
Okay, first of all, calm that neck down when I'm asking you questions, because I'm trying to understand what your point is.
Intrigue deepens as love and uncertainty clash. Miss Cotton's revelation about last night raises eyebrows. Amidst a heated exchange, a key discrepancy emerges. Mr. Pendleton's claimed infertility contradicts his reported conception date. The courtroom buzzes with questions and confusion, unraveling a compelling narrative.
You pleading the fifth?
I ain't pleading. I don't know what you're talking about.
Your mom do too, that's why she mad.
Okay.
The point is, Your Honor, she just want me to be the father because she know I'm going to be a great father.
So in your court papers, you said it was impossible for you to have children.
Like, I've never been tested for it, but I've tried for 6 years straight.
Amidst the tension, the battle for baby Love's identity rages on. Accusations fly, fingers point, and the courtroom is ablaze with conflicting emotions. Love's uncertain paternity casts a shadow of doubt as Mr. Pendleton's actions teeter between caution and affection. The drama unfolds, exposing the heart of this complex and captivating paternity dispute.
I asked you to spend time with my child. That's
And
what I asked
even
you
then,
to
you
do.
have a problem.
That's what I asked you
I come
to
get all
do.
the time.
And he has.
But you're the one that's telling him not to be around her. Like, yes, you are.
She just telling me don't look
But
like
you
a
was just
fool.
buying
Miss
a whole
Pendleton.
pack of grandma bibs.
Yes, I did.
But you're not the grandmom, right?
You don't know. That's what we here for.
The truth finally emerges, cutting through the confusion like a beacon of clarity. As Judge Lake delivers the long-awaited verdict, the atmosphere electrifies with a mix of relief, joy, and even a touch of humor. Emotions run deep as the identity of baby Love's father is unveiled, proving that in the midst of uncertainty, love and truth prevail.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Pendleton, you are the father. Congratulations.
She lied to me, she lied to my daughter. When she first got pregnant, she said I was the dad. And after 29 years, I come to find out now that I might, a possibility that I'm not the father.
That night, we danced, we partied, and then we went to the apartment.
Is that an apartment?
Not mine. No, that's a lie.
A father was out to save his relationship with his daughter. For 30 years, Mommy Davis maintained one truth, but now she believed another. And Miss Wandick got stuck between two parents. A good old paternity fight. Here we come.
Miss Wandick, you say you are stuck between your parents. And after believing the plaintiff was your father, you now are confused by your mother's new claims. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Life was good for 29 years or so. And then bam, it wasn't anymore. Mr. Haggerty was quite upset with the baby mama. He called her a liar, and the daughter agreed to that claim, as the two of them were now stuck in paternity limbo.
She lied to me, she lied to my daughter. When she first got pregnant, she said I was the dad. And after 29 years, I come to find out now that I might, a possibility that I'm not the father.
You've raised this beautiful young woman, and you've thought of her as your daughter and nothing else.
For the whole 29 years, yes, Your Honor.
Well, Mommy Dearest apparently had a change of heart after all these years. Guess she wanted to rip the skeletons out of the closet, and so she did. And she wasn't shy with the words either. But Miss Wandick proved she was her daughter after all as well.
For her to be saying that he's just a playmate when from jump you led this man to believe that he was my father the whole 29 years of my life. That's not fair to me. I have kids myself asking me which man is this other man or is this man my father or their grandfather.
Mr. Haggerty wasn't ready to back down. Oh no, he brought along a witness and she was Miss Davis's sister. But she was here supporting the claim of the plaintiff. Now that's interesting.
My sister called me and she said I'm pregnant, and she told me that Craig was Marzella's father.
Mr. Haggerty.
Mr. Haggerty.
She said it?
She said it.
She didn't name anybody else?
She didn't name no one else but Craig Haggerty. She looked just like him. She looked just like this man.
Better buckle up, people. We're in for some wild turns. Miss Wandick met a random stranger who claimed he was her father at 19 years old, and that man was still in her life. She didn't believe him initially, but after a while, she may have started to. But most interesting was the fact that the plaintiff had no idea about this development at all.
I had a boyfriend and he had a girlfriend.
Was your boyfriend the gentleman that came to Miss Wandick, your daughter, crying?
Yes. Marzella was already conceived in my belly when I was playing with Mr. Haggerty.
Did you tell Mr. Haggerty that he was your daughter's father?
Yeah.
This was getting us nowhere. Unless Mommy Davis sheds light on how the heck this all became this complicated, Miss Davis was young and was already in a relationship when she met Mr. Haggerty, and he was too, apparently. Let's hear their story.
How does Mr. Haggerty get into the equation?
Question, because I'm gonna explain it to you, Your Honor, because I wanted a baby by Mr. Haggerty so bad I had 4 miscarriages. I put Nicole on him, but I know who the father is.
Mr. Haggerty came too well prepared, it seems. It was witness after witness. This time, she was Miss Wandick's sister, and she wholeheartedly believed the defendant to be her sister. She showed pictures of them and was visibly emotional and shaken by all of this.
Miss Wandick is your sister.
Of course I do. She looks like my dad. She looks more like my dad than I do. That's all I've ever known. Like when we were young, we dressed alike. She was with us for a while, so yes, I believe that's my sister, wholeheartedly.
Oh, so precious, y'all holding hands. I love that. And I could see throughout the testimony the tears coming down your eyes.
Next up, we got to see Miss Wandick boldly answering the question about her mother's motivation regarding her change of heart after all this time. And that led to some emotionally packed drama right in the middle of the court.
Other than that, she hasn't said anything about this other man being my dad. So why you haven't been said something if that wasn't what it was about, if it wasn't about the money, why would you say that?
What was your motivation? What drove you to finally say it after all those years?
I felt guilty.
It's all right. It's all right.
It's too emotional and too many lies.
This paternity saga had gone on long enough. Too much was on the line here. Years of love and affection, and all the lies and dishonesty. Let's give these guys what they truly came here for, shall we?
Mr. Haggerty, you are not the father. Are you okay, honey?
Something that could have been settled 29 years ago.
It's okay. It's okay, I'm off. You're gonna be there for you. Okay.
The plaintiff got caught in a love triangle years ago, and the consequences of those actions have finally brought her to court. For once and for all, Miss Jackson wanted to prove to the defendant and his wife that he fathered Tanika, but they weren't buying it.
Ms. Jackson, you've dragged your ex-boyfriend to court to prove he fathered your 26-year-old daughter, Tanika.
Yes, Your Honor.
1 week ago, you reopened your child support case in which you state Mr. Brown owes you $20,624.08.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
That was one complicated situation. After all these years, the plaintiff reopened the child support and was ready to fight it out. While she claimed she wanted answers, Mrs. Brown claimed that the baby mama was still after her husband.
I was, by Mr. and Mrs. Brown, they told me different stories that he might not be my father, but my mother always told me that.
And so why, after all these years, why do you reopen the child support case?
Because my husband don't want her.
It's still going on.
She's still after my
26
husband.
years, still been going.
Time to shed light on how this torrid love affair began. As it turns out, Miss Jackson and Mr. Brown met at a bar and hit it off. But what she didn't know was that the guy was hiding some vital information from her.
I met him at the club, and we started talking, we started dancing. When he left with his wife, Miss Brown. I asked him who she was. He told me if she was just a friend. So he came back to the club.
That night?
That night. We danced, we partied, and then we went to the apartment.
Is that an apartment?
Not mine. No, that's a lie.
The story went from the bar to an apartment, and then back to the bar real quick. Apparently, the apartment time came much later. Mrs. Brown had already had an encounter with the baby mama, and in highly unpleasant circumstances.
He wasn't in the club. So I knocked on the door of the bathroom. So I knocked. I said, Dwight, I know you're in there. I said, open this door. He cracked it a little bit. So when I pushed it open, she in there, done him in the bathroom. But I told her, I said, you can go.
So you find him in the club in the bathroom?
Yes, ma'am.
It seemed Mr. Jackson was having his cake and eating it too. Yep, he was fooling around here and there. So not cool, man. And now he denied paternity, even though at one point, him and Miss Jackson had lived together as well. With all this information, the daughter had enough and gave them a piece of her mind.
Were you sleeping with both of them without protection?
Yes, Your Honor.
So why do you deny that Tanika is your daughter?
I've seen too many things happen. One morning, I thought she was at work. Come to find out, she was out with another man.
Messy, and even more messy. That's what this situation was. The constant back and forth pattern that the baby daddy was pulling was bound to have drastic consequences, and soon it did. However, Mrs. Brown wasn't too sure about the conception timeline.
Came to stay at my house. He stayed with me about 2 weeks. He said after he left me, he didn't even go home for another month.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Wait a minute, so you don't think the timeline adds up?
She was supposed to have been born 3 months later than what she was born. If he would have been there, he had been gone for 3 months, but instead she was born 3 months earlier.
Dear Lord, the drama just kept adding up. By the looks of it, baby daddy had been a doting father initially. Yup, he was there at the birth and afterwards even. In all this chaos, it seemed Miss Jackson failed to mention a key piece of information about her life.
Was he at the hospital when she was born?
Yes.
No, he wasn't.
He came in the hospital, Your Honor.
He wasn't there when she was born.
He asked me where she was. The nurse brought her back in the room. He put the robe on her and he fed her. Not only that, Cajun, when she was born, he was happy with his daughter.
Next up was another round of varied narratives from these guys. Yup, they're full of it. Tanika brought out the birth certificate that listed the defendant as father, but minus the signature. Furthermore, Miss Jackson had avoided the paternity test on numerous occasions. Sounds fishy.
That's a fake, Your Honor, and she's sitting here and believing her.
So wait, on this birth certificate, it does say Dwight Stanley Brown.
He named
He didn't
me
sign
and he
that.
spelled the name.
He was with me doing a tag that
my
birth
name and named me.
This
Now, I
second
do
birth
not
certificate.
see a signature on this birth
Because
certificate,
he did not
though.
sign
Because I didn't
it.
sign it.
He did not sign it.
These guys were ready to rumble, and none of them were backing down. Baby mama reopened child support. However, Mrs. Brown came with the evidence that she had been getting child support for a few years. Oh, yes.
And he had paid for child support. That she said he was never on child support. He never did nothing for her.
You believe she's avoiding the DNA test because
Yes, ma'am.
she's getting this money.
I figured that she did that because she know that Tanika's not my husband's daughter.
I'm the one that wanted the DNA test because I got tired of going through this for 26 years.
I can imagine, hon.
Well, if the birth certificate wasn't enough, no worries, as the plaintiff had another card up her sleeve. Oh, yeah. Miss Jackson had a document to back up her claim, but the wife wasn't buying that either. Nope, not at all. Here's why.
Is that your signature, sir?
No, Your Honor. It's
Yes,
not.
Your Honor. That's his signature.
Ron, take this pen. And I want you to have Mr. Brown.
And you can look on his driver's license, Your Honor, and tell what his signature is. He didn't sign that. It is not his signature on that. And I'm fraud some old documents too.
If it's my signature, I wouldn't misspell my own name.
Well, during this whole case, it was the wife of the defendant that had been speaking on her husband's behalf, and she clearly wasn't a fan of the baby mama. She obviously put her at fault more, and that didn't sit too well with the judge.
At this point, with an acknowledgement of paternity executed in 1990, she really didn't need one.
My husband said he
When
has
you
never-
acknowledge
My husband said
paternity,
he has never signed
Yes,
any
Your Honor,
documents.
yes, he did.
And I believe my husband.
Then
But
your
I know what
husband
kind of
lied,
woman Miss
then.
Jackson
He
is.
lied to you.
And I will stick by my husband, and I
He lied
believe
to
what
you.
my husband.
In all this chaotic mess, the most important key factor was missed, and that was Tanika. These guys just kept pushing her into the background, but she stood up for herself. Let's give her the answers she deserves.
Mr. Brown, you are her father.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Mama ain't got the law.
Mr. Brown, that's your daughter. That's your daughter.
You forgive me.
I forgave you a long time ago, Dad.
A child who wasn't even born yet. Their paternity was on the line. Yup, Mr. Kiesel was pretty desperate to save his marriage and claimed paternity, but his wife, on the other hand, was out to break his heart.
It has affected me in a huge way, not only just our marriage, but my pregnancy as well. I mean, yes, I'm excited for it, but it makes it harder when there's so much stress put into the pregnancy, you know, rather than being everybody together, you know, having a good time for like a baby shower. Say we were supposed to have a baby shower, that ended up getting canceled.
Leave it to Judge Lake to ask the blunt questions. Apparently, the couple rushed into things pretty fast. First, it was their relationship, and then their marriage. Well, rushing into things headlong didn't get them anywhere, except to the paternity court.
We really rushed into a relationship. We had been dating on and off, but it was back and forth with my ex and him. We both have broke up a couple times over while we were dating. And then when we got married, I just feel like we might have got married a little too young.
Rise and shine, conception calendar, rise and shine. After crushing her husband's heart, Miss Kiesel went to the emergency room to get tested. Now, here she got the conception window, and the dates she had been intimate with both guys were just smack dab in the middle of it.
Okay, I got a conception day April 1st at my first. It wasn't really a doctor appointment. I had started spotting. So we went to the emergency room to confirm that I was even pregnant because we just had a home test done. So April 1st, I went to the emergency room.
And did they give you your conception date?
Yes, they did, Your Honor. It was March 8th.
Now, both these guys were pretty positive on these dates. Baby mama was definitely having fun on these dates. However, she only recalled the fun with the ex. Yup, she had no memory of being intimate with her husband. Ouch, now that's gotta hurt.
You believe the child is not his. You hope it is, but you believe it is not.
I have strong doubt, Your Honor.
You do?
Yes.
And that's because?
The conception date. I honestly don't remember, Your Honor. The
So-
only reason I remember the ex is because of it being on the day of the car wreck.
And then you remembered you'd also had sex with him 2 days before.
Yes.
The heart wants what it wants, I guess. Mr. Kiesel desperately wanted this baby to be his. So much so, he had a list of similarities between him and the kid. One of these was the clubfoot. Even though Judge Lake clarified it through the doctor, baby daddy was still holding out hope.
But have you been honest with yourself about these feelings you've had thus far? I want the child to be mine. I believe the child is mine. But I do know for certain that there is a very real possibility.
I understand the possibilities. I want this child more than anything. We had been trying for a child and we finally got it.
The baby daddy was suffering. The baby mama wasn't able to enjoy her pregnancy. The baby who wasn't even here yet had their whole life on the line. Now that's just too much to handle. So without further ado, let's get on with the results.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Kiesel, you are the father. I know that has to feel good.
From where I sit is so fake. I mean, it really is irking me because what you're acting like is so fake, macho nonsense.
The whole house smells like sex, Your Honor.
Oh.
Miss Foster has brought Mr. Fields to court to prove he is the father of her 17-month-old daughter, Sienna, who has serious medical needs. She wants him to pay the child support. Mr. Fields is sure he's not the father and says he has proof. Does he really have proof? Or is he just shamelessly trying to avoid financial responsibility?
He came to the hospital probably about 4 times, but when he was there, it was just to have relations with me.
Nah, I think that's a lie, Your Honor.
What happened the first night?
She came to my house, you understand? She had bought some new shorts. I was trying to be respectable and I asked her, do you want to go in the bathroom and change your clothes? She tells me no.
Miss Foster claims to be practically a virgin before her involvement with Mr. Fields. Judge Lake and Mr. Fields question the validity of this statement. The shameless moment in the court arises when Miss Foster explains that she considers herself practically a virgin because she did engage with intercourse with someone before Mr. Fields, but did not, quote, finish the act.
I was practically, before him, there was some
What's
other guy.
practically?
There was
How
some
can you
other
be
guy.
practically a
There was
virgin?
some other guy
That's
before him, and I
impossible.
don't count that as a partner.
What
Oh,
does
yeah, when they made
practically
us
a
ill.
virgin?
Practically mean it didn't go all the way.
You had intercourse with someone previously, but you did not finish the act.
Yes.
Mr. Fields claims Miss Foster tried to get his phone number by texting his family. Judge Lake questions why this is odd if Miss Foster believes he is the father of her child. Mr. Fields suggests that Miss Foster is obsessed with him, but provides no marriage evidence when questioned.
I left you. You were crying to me, begging to come back with me.
So why
begged to
would
see
you make
Sienna.
my life
tell
a living
people-
hell?
I don't even talk to you. I haven't talked to you in a while. Like, I don't understand where he's coming from. He just was talking to me 2 days ago.
No, I wasn't.
Telling me how he loves me, how this is not going to work because
Bruh,
his family doesn't like
wait,
her.
time out, because now you're lying.
Everything.
Now you're lying.
And I have evidence right here, actually.
Show me
You
some
do?
evidence.
Yes, I do.
Miss Foster asserts that if she wanted Mr. Fields, she could have him, but he denies it. When questioned about unprotected sex, Mr. Fields claims they used protection and that Miss Foster said she was on Depo, a type of birth control. Miss Foster refutes this, saying she was on the pill, not Depo, and he was present at the hospital for the birth.
Did you ever have sex with Miss Foster without protection?
And I would
No, I
have
have
been, I'm a real
protection. I have
person.
protection, Your Honor. This girl said she was on the
Never.
Depo. The Depo shot is birth control. Approximately 99% effective from not getting pregnant.
I don't know what he's talking about, but I have not became on the depot, and I haven't even dealt with him since January until last month.
Miss Foster expresses her frustration with Mr. Fields for not being present during her pregnancy, especially given that she lost one of her twins. She argues that he could have at least attended doctor's appointments given the advance notice. Only the DNA result will reveal if Mr. Fields can justify this act of insensitivity.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Fields, you are her father.
I step up and take care of my child. Can I hold her?
I want you to hold your daughter, and I want you to help take care of your daughter and be there for her and support her.
Miss Dupree is adamant that Mr. Flagg is the biological father of her 4-month-old twins, Sky and Skylar. She aims to prove this in order to save their 13-year relationship. On the other hand, Mr. Flagg's doubts were amplified when Miss Dupree admitted to cheating with an ex around the time of conception.
Mr. Flagg, you say you were devastated when just 4 days ago the plaintiff confirmed your suspicion. She cheated on you with an ex during the time of conception. You claim your family's future is at risk and state you plan to leave her if the DNA results prove you are not the twins' biological father. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mr. Flagg expressed that initially he was happy about the pregnancy. However, he had lingering doubts about being the biological father of the twins. Interestingly, Mr. Flagg suspects Miss Dupree was pregnant even before she did, warning her around her birthday on October 15th to avoid partying because he believed she was pregnant.
I feel like I might be the father.
Did he express this feeling to you when you told him you were pregnant?
Yes, Your Honor, but he was telling me I was pregnant. I didn't even know I was pregnant, and I didn't believe him. I just, wouldn't believe him until I took the test, and that's when I thought. He's the one told me, and he was having a morning sickness and sleeping and eating. He told me.
Mr. Flagg's doubts began when he came home to find a house smelling odd and a pair of unfamiliar shoes near the bed. These shoes were not his size, making him question if he is the biological father of the twins. This has put their 13-year relationship at a risk.
I'm coming home, I'm happy. I step in the house, the whole house smell like sex, Your Honor. And so when I go in towards the bedroom, I'm looking at the shoes and looking at my size. I'm gonna say like this, these are my shoes. They are 8.5. These are not my shoes. These are 11 or 13 size.
Miss Dupree explains that the unfamiliar shoes belong to her friend's boyfriend, not a secret lover. The pair had visited her one-bedroom apartment where the bathroom is inside the bedroom. Her friend's boyfriend took a shower there to get ready for work, leaving his shoes by the bed. Will this innocent explanation lead to shameless acceptance of cheating?
I have a one-bedroom apartment. The bathroom is inside my bedroom. They both took a shower at my house because just visiting and staying with me. So her boyfriend didn't have enough time to go home, drop her off and go home and get ready for work. So she asked me, can he get ready for work there? I said, sure. So he came and took a shower. He put his work boots on and left his shoes there.
In this shameless moment on paternity court, Mr. Flagg told that he suspected Miss Dupree was cheating when he came home to a house that smelled like recent sexual activity had taken place. He even asked to smell her to confirm his suspicions, which she did not allow.
You asked to smell her body because you felt like the house smelled like sexual intercourse had taken place imminently.
Yeah.
Did she allow you to do that?
No.
Miss Dupree, what was going on? Did it smell like sex?
Yes, it did, Your Honor.
About a month after Mr. Flagg suspected Miss Dupree of cheating due to the shoe incident, she announced that she was pregnant. She was nearly 2 months along at the time, which made Mr. Flagg connect the timeline to his earlier doubts. Despite his reservations, he claimed to have stepped up and been involved in the twins' lives so far.
Who is stepping up? Are you Mr. Flagg?
I have been stepping up, though. Your Honor, no, he have not.
He
have not did really nothing for my kids. The only thing he bought was the car seats. I did the whole baby shower. When he came with one case of diapers, a blanket for each baby, some socks for each baby, the face rags, and maybe 2-3 outfits.
Mr. Flagg reveals he's been through a previous paternity issue, adding to his doubts about the twins. The situation clearly pains him, as he talks about his love for the children and his long-term relationship with Miss Dupree. The emotional stakes are high, and the DNA results could end their 13-year relationship.
Mr. Flagg, you are their father. Congratulations, Mr. Flagg. You happy?
Yes, I'm very happy. And I probably want to do something else too. I love you.
Thank you.
Miss Vaughn says Mr. Williams is the dad of their 1-year-old Connor. She shamelessly demands for money for daycare, even though there is a doubt that Mr. Williams is the baby's father. Mr. Williams thinks he's not the dad, and that Miss Vaughn tricked him. He's only bought diapers and 2 outfits for the baby.
What has Mr. Williams done for Connor?
Brian hasn't did anything for him. The only thing he has done was buy 2 cases of diapers when he was a newborn.
And the child is 1 year old?
Yes, and he watched him while I was at work for a couple times, but it's not enough of a month full of
Your
Sundays.
Honor, that is not true.
Miss Vaughn and Mr. Williams were in a committed relationship when she got pregnant. Mr. Williams says he married her because he thought the baby was his. Now, he's got doubts. Sean says people on campus told Brian the baby isn't his, but Brian should know he's the father.
Brian was defending her honor after people on campus let him know that that was not his baby.
Brian knows that he's Connor's father.
I didn't even know her. I didn't meet her.
Who are these people on? Hold on.
You say you had people telling you she was having sex with other people and the child may not be yours?
Because I did disclaim that at one point she was putting me in the doghouse.
Sean says she and Mr. Williams' father met with Centoria's mother because they couldn't believe she supported the situation. Centoria's mom insisted they marry so her grandchild wouldn't be, quote, a bastard. She says she raised her kids to marry if they're good enough to lay with. That's a shocking statement coming from mother.
I requested to meet her mother because I couldn't believe that a parent would be in support
When did you find out
of
Centoria was
this.
pregnant? Because your
And
son
so his father and I requested to meet her. We actually went to her house. And after having the discussion with her and she shared with us, then the next step was for them to get married.
Judge Lake tries to bring focus back to the real issue, stating that both parties were not prepared for the consequences of their actions, but should now step up for the child. Connor, Centoria claims she has, but Brian has not. The judge urges everyone to stop the arguing and focus on what's best for Connor.
And it's affecting his life because he's one, and the man that you say is his biological father is saying, I don't believe I am. It's one of the first things they say.
Yeah.
Does he say Dada?
Yeah.
Does he mean Mr. Williams when he's saying it? Is that who he's talking about?
He doesn't know his father.
Centoria explains that a childhood friend helped her financially. She says this friend has never claimed to be Connor's father and even encourages Brian to be responsible. Brian, on the other hand, is suspicious because he got a phone call from his friend telling him to babysit, which he finds odd since Connor is supposed to be with his own child.
Mr. Williams, you say she's got a sugar daddy. What is this all about in your mind?
It was a phone call that I received, and it just pretty much took me over the edge. I'm not sure how he even obtained my number, but he was telling me to babysit. Well, why would I be babysitting my child? So he told me to be there babysitting.
This man is telling you when to be there to take care of your child?
Yes.
Brian says he tried to contact Centoria about her relationship with her childhood friend, but she started blocking him. He claims that when he went over to her house to see Connor, he found her and her friend there not dressed. Centoria immediately denies this, stating that it's incorrect and accuses Brian of lying.
I've tried to contact her. She started blocking my number when I would ask about, her relationship. When I was coming over to her house, that they're already there, not dressed, and claiming that it's just a regular friendship.
Judge Lake questions if Centoria can understand why Brian would have doubts about being Connor's father, given her intimacy with another man. Centoria agrees. Judge Lake asks Miss Boyd if she regrets encouraging her daughter to marry Brian, given her negative opinion of him. Only the paternity results will clear the doubts.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Williams, you are the father.
Hey, the lady.
Mr. Williams, you are the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're gonna have to raise that child together. You're gonna have to help be responsible for him, care for him.
Mr. Lassio, who was in court, wants to prove that Mr. Abbott is the biological father of their 7-month-old daughter, Aubrey. She hopes proving this will save their relationship, which is currently fraught with trust issues. On the other hand, Mr. Abbott says he plans to leave Miss Lassio if the DNA test shows he is not the father.
I was ready to go. This courtroom, calling her has actually saved us as of right now, and I need the results of this paternity today to find out if Aubrey is my daughter, because if she's not, I am gone.
Miss Lassio explains that she and Mr. Abbott had been on a break and were fighting around Easter weekend. In this shameless moment, she told that she met up with an old acquaintance and they had an unprotected sexual encounter. Miss Lassio emphasizes that she reached out to this man more as a way to get back at Mr. Abbott.
Jacob and I had just recently gotten back together. We were on a little break. We were supposed to have this great Easter weekend and go camping and everything. And I don't remember why we were fighting, but we were in an argument. And I was hanging out with one of my friends and I reached out to another guy. And whenever I reached out to him, we ended up hooking up. And then I was back together with Jake.
Miss Lassio says that ever since she admitted to her one-time indiscretion, Mr. Abbott has been suspicious and constantly tracks her via GPS. She questions the reliability of the GPS tracking, citing instances where it inaccurately reported her location. She emphasizes that she only slept with the other man once and is now dealing with continuous distrust from Mr. Abbott.
And there's been times with the GPS, I've been asleep in bed and he's been up checking it. So how are you gonna believe a GPS if I've been in bed sleeping and it says I'm down the street, if it's done it once? If it's messed up once, it's very possible it's messed up several times.
So after you cheated and you came clean and you told him, he had this tracker on your phone and he would never believe anything you say?
Correct.
Miss Lassio believes the emotional bond between Mr. Abbott and their daughter Aubrey is evidence he is the biological father. She says the way Aubrey reacts to him is unique to a father-daughter relationship. Mr. Abbott acknowledges the connection, but remains uncertain due to the close timing between the conception date and Miss Lassio's indiscretion.
I know there's step-parents out there that have great relationships with their children, but the bond that they have together, when he walks in the room, the way that she crawls after him first, her dad will look down at her and pick her up. That's not something a step-parent or anyone in the world can have. That's only a father and daughter relationship. That's their bond.
Mr. Abbott was there for the birth and doctor's appointments, but didn't sign the birth certificate. He had doubts about being Aubrey's biological father because of Miss Lassio's past. They decided to wait for a paternity test to make it official. So, what did the paternity test hold?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Abbott, you are not her father. I'm so sorry.
He told me, that's a white man's baby, and walked out of the hospital room.
What?
Because she came out like really like.
That's how she came out.
She didn't look like that.
She been in the womb.
It's funny and pathetic because you can sit there and act like, oh, poor victim me, but you guys could have done a paternity test a long time ago.
Instead of
way a long time ago.
Miss Sims is suing her mother and alleged father, Mr. Johnson, for paternity fraud. She claims inconsistencies in medical history between her daughter, and Mr. Johnson's family suggest he's not her biological father. She feels embarrassed and deceived after 36 years of believing otherwise.
Ms. Sims, you say your mother and your alleged father intentionally deceived you for 36 years by claiming that Mr. Johnson is your biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Johnson admits to always having had doubts about his paternity, but never shared them with Miss Sims. Miss Sims feels embarrassed that both parents kept the possibility of another biological father hidden from her. Her suspicions grew when she was diagnosed with lupus in 2001, a condition not present in Mr. Johnson's family history.
How has your relationship changed since this paternity issue has come to light?
I've always known there was some doubt, but I never mentioned it to her because I didn't see any reason for it. Maybe she has less trust in me now, but it doesn't affect the way I feel about her.
You say you feel like she may have less trust in you.
Yeah.
Miss Sims felt the need to get to the bottom of her paternity mystery, especially after her lupus diagnosis raised questions about her family medical history. She first approached her dad, Mr. Johnson, about the issue to avoid insulting anyone. Surprisingly, Mr. Johnson admitted that there could be a chance she's not his biological father.
What do you say to your mother when you get this information?
Well, I actually talked to my dad first because, you don't ever want to, insult anyone or anything like that. And I actually talked to my dad about it. My dad kind of was like, well, yeah, I kind of agree that there may be, a chance that you're not mine.
Miss Smith and Mr. Johnson clarified the nature of their relationship, revealing they were never a couple. They both worked as cab drivers and met at a cab stand where they struck up a friendship. Despite getting close enough to share problems and enjoy music together, they never took their relationship to a romantic level.
There's another possibility.
Yes, there is a possibility.
And so, what's your relationship? How did you two meet?
We both had the same job. We were cab drivers. When you're idle, you sit on a cab stand until you get a call. And we happened to be on the same cab stand at the same time.
Miss Smith found out she was pregnant 2 to 3 months after her sexual encounter with Mr. Johnson. She informed both Mr. Johnson and her then partner about the pregnancy. Judge Lake pointed out that Miss Smith must have realized at that moment she was facing a paternity question, leaving the identity of Miss Sims's biological father uncertain.
Did you know she was in another relationship at the time?
Yes, I did. That's why it took me so long.
Oh, that's why you didn't try to have sex with her sooner, but then this day after the shower, all bets were off.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Sims reveals that her birth certificate doesn't list Henry Johnson as her father. Instead, another man's name is there. Growing up, it wasn't a big deal for her since she and her siblings all had the same last name, given by their mother. But the DNA result reveals the truth.
Mr. Johnson, you are the father.
Miss Harden says she wants to prove Mr. Nelson is the father of their 2-month-old, Sophia, so he'll help her raise her. Mr. Nelson is sure he's not the dad and claims he knows the real father. Ms. Harden says he offers no help with the baby.
Ms. Harden, you have opened your case today in hopes of saving your relationship with the defendant. You say, due to a misunderstanding, he is now denying your 2-month-old daughter. You are certain he is the father, and once proven, you want his help raising your daughter. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Harden felt alone when she found out she was pregnant. She didn't think Mr. Nelson wanted kids, but admitted embarrassingly that she still had unprotected sex with him. Her family background is troubled, with absent parents and an uninvolved grandmother. She felt Mr. Nelson was someone who listened to her, filling a void in her life.
Tell me what happens when you find out you're pregnant.
At first I panicked because I didn't know how he would respond. He didn't seem like the person to want to have a kid. He didn't seem like a kid person.
That's true.
So why were you having unprotected sex with this young man and you didn't think he was the kid type? And why are you following behind him?
Mr. Nelson didn't sign the birth certificate for the child. Ms. Harden claims he intentionally left his ID at home to avoid signing. Mr. Nelson confirms he did it on purpose due to doubts about paternity. He even brought an exhibit to court to outline his doubts. The couple had moved to Arkansas and gotten their own place.
So you came there to support, but in your mind, you were like, this isn't my child, so I'm not signing the birth certificate.
Yes, Your Honor.
No, that's not what happened.
What happened?
When we were on the way to the hospital, I called him multiple times and said, hey, make sure you grab your ID. You need your ID to sign her birth certificate. He left his ID at home on purpose, bought an empty wallet.
Mr. Nelson reveals that Ms. Harden and another man, John, previously had sexual relations. Nelson's doubts escalated when he found text messages between Ms. Harden and John after they returned to Arkansas. Just 3 weeks after finding these texts, Ms. Harden announced she was pregnant. That must be embarrassing, knowing that she's 2 months pregnant, raising Nelson's doubt.
Before I even knew her, all three of them had sexual relations with each other, so I wasn't.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not stupid.
Sure did.
And nothing
So they had threesomes together.
Yes, Your Honor. So if I'm not there, to
What
stop
is
you from
going
doing it
on?
again. Right.
Right.
So,
Mr. Nelson describes a text message from John to Ms. Harden, asking, "What are we gonna do about our baby?" Nelson takes this as John claiming to be the baby's father. Yet, during a speakerphone call, John asked again about our baby, further deepening Nelson's doubts about paternity.
John called my phone, so I put it on speaker, and John was like, so what we gonna do about our baby, bro? And I was like, huh? What baby? My baby does not belong to you. He was like, come on now, Pinky, we both know what happened when Delonte left. And I was like, what didn't happen?
Miss Harden tells Mr. Patterson about a DNA test, saying the timeline matches. This contradicts her claim that Mr. Nelson is the dad. Judge Lake asks why she needs a test with Patterson. Harden says she's proving he's not the dad. She also claims Nelson cheated with her. The DNA test results shows if Miss Harden faces the embarrassing moment.
Mr. Nelson, you are the biological father.
first off, I just want to say I apologize to you for accusing you, but you gotta see from my point of view, my shoes, I just wanted to know the truth.
Miss Jackson, clearly emotional, opens her case against her childhood sweetheart, Mr. Brennan, said that he and his mother are denying paternity of her daughter, Micaiah, who has cerebral palsy. She asks for him to take responsibility, as he once did without doubt. Mr. Brennan claims to have evidence that he's not the father, and even suggests he knows who is.
Ms. Jackson, you and your mother opened your case because your childhood sweetheart has now become your adulthood nightmare. You say the defendant denying your daughter Micaiah. You say you need help because your daughter has cerebral palsy and you want the defendant to man up.
Mr. Brennan admits to having doubts about being Micaiah's biological father, but claims he was initially involved in her life. He says he was kicked out of Miss Jackson's home and prevented from seeing Micaiah. Mr. Brennan adds that he asked for a paternity test multiple times, but was refused by Miss Jackson. Was she too embarrassed to get a paternity test?
Mr. Brennan,
Yes,
you
Your
don't believe you are Micaiah's biological father.
I have doubts.
You do.
Yes.
And is the testimony of Ms. Jackson true that in the beginning you were there?
In the beginning, yes, I was always there. And I actually got kicked out of their house. That's why I wasn't there. And they don't let me see her.
Miss Jackson admits to being with an ex during a break in their relationship. Mr. Brennan claims embarrassingly that Miss Jackson disappeared for 3 weeks and returned pregnant, which she disputes. He also says he had ongoing doubts because he felt he was continually cheated on, an accusation that Miss Jackson counters by claiming he also cheated on her.
During your pregnancy or at the birth, did he ever question paternity?
He did.
He did?
He did.
What happened?
Before I had got pregnant, I was with one of my exes when me and him were on a break. And then after that, we got back together and we were super close, inseparable when I lived with him at his mother's house.
Mr. Brennan says he was there for the birth, but didn't sign the birth certificate. Ms. Jackson says she was on medication and told him he could sign it. Ms. Jackson's mom learned Mr. Brennan had doubts last October when she tried to set up a Halloween visit for the child.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
No.
Ms. Jackson, I do need to ask if Mr. Brennan was that present and very much involved in Micaiah's birth, why wasn't he allowed to sign or be on the birth certificate?
He did, Your Honor. I had the whole packet and he had permission to sign anything because I was under the influence of the drugs at the time.
Miss Winters, the mother of Mr. Brennan, shares that a friend of theirs called her and claimed that Haley, Miss Jackson, told him he was the father of the child. This revelation is what really fueled Mr. Brennan's doubt about paternity. Mr. Brennan says he was already aware that Miss Jackson had been involved with his friend.
This gentleman, he's been away for a while and he kept calling me every week. He's friends with Johnny. I get a phone call after about a year talking to him and he goes, Mama, Chris, he goes, I need to tell you something. I said, what, honey? You know, just like a son, just like a son. He goes, Haley told me I was the daddy.
That's really where my doubts start coming from.
Mr. Brennan emotionally states that his love for the child is what keeps him moving forward in life. Despite the doubts, he notes that the child looks exactly like him. Meanwhile, Miss Jackson is in tears, frustrated by the situation. She insists she knows who the father of her child is. The DNA result revealed if his doubts were only doubts.
Mr. Brennan, you are the father.
Thank you. And I thought that, but when your friend comes to you, it tells you that she says you're not. I mean, you can only wonder. And then when you ask her and she blocks you.
You had the doubt, but now that doubt is done.
Mr. Evans says he's not the dad of Miss Snyder's baby, Lainey. Is it going to be an embarrassing moment if it turns out that he's right? He points out that they were together for just a week and the baby doesn't look like him. Snyder is sure he's the father and expects him to take responsibility once it's confirmed.
Mr. Evans, you claim your relationship with the defendant was just a week-long fling, and you are certain you are not the biological father of her 2-month-old daughter, Lainey. Once today's results prove what you already know, you want your last name back. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Mr. Evans says Miss Snyder flashed him during a music gig, suggesting it led to their fling. Miss Snyder immediately denies this, saying he's not telling the truth. Their conflicting stories add to the tension about the paternity of the child.
So she walks up to me and I see her and she's, looking at me and I'm just like, okay. And she's like, starts giving me those eyes and I'm like, okay, I know that look. And then she starts, dancing a little bit and then starts flashing her.
No one did.
Wait, what?
Yes, she did.
That's a lie.
Mr. Evans told that his ex calls him, saying she's at his house with another man who needs a place to stay. Mr. Evans said that he's at a gig and has Snyder dancing on his lap, implying he's going to bring her home. They both end up going to Mr. Evans's home.
Just know that I'm like, at this point in time, there's this girl dancing on my lap right now, and I'm bringing her home.
You didn't say that part.
Oh my God!
You didn't say that part.
I did too say that part.
You just said.
I told you what happened right after that, right after I got off the phone.
So now listen, you end up going home together.
Yes.
Mr. Evans ends up in a complicated situation at home involving both Miss Snyder and his ex. A tug of war starts over him, and he tries to settle it by saying there's enough of him for both women. The court is left stunned.
So you go from playing the drums to being in the bed with Miss Snyder and your ex.
Yeah.
I'm scared to ask Jerome. But what happened?
I think you know what happened, Your Honor.
Judge Lake criticizes both Mr. Evans and Miss Snyder for not using protection, highlighting the irresponsibility on both sides. Mr. Evans clarifies that they were intimate multiple times, including before he left for a week-long trip to Colorado for work. The couple acknowledges the lack of precaution.
I can't move on from this point until I say, now you know you don't have no business playing drums out there on the street, then coming back home with some woman and not using protection, and you don't have no business coming home with him and not using no protection.
Yes, sir. I understand that now.
Was that the only time you were intimate, Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Evans expresses doubt about being the biological father because he feels the baby doesn't resemble him. He told that during the pregnancy, he had initially accepted the child as his own due to the timing and the unprotected encounters. He later questioned Ms. Snyder about the possibility of another man being the father, but only after seeing the baby.
When I saw the baby, I was just like, are you sure she's mine? Because she don't look like me. She don't have my features. She doesn't, her nose is like more flared and mine is like more round and like she doesn't really like have my eyebrows. And I have like a widow's peak that you can't really see. It's kind of faded, but I just got a haircut.
Ms. Snyder provides the timeline of her sexual encounters, emphasizing that she was only with Mr. Evans during the window of conception for baby Lainey. She confirms that she had relations with another man later in April, but argues that the conception must have happened around late March to early April. Did her statement match the DNA results?
Mr. Evans, you are not the father. You were right, Mr. Evans. You are not her biological father. I'm sorry, I know that wasn't the result you thought you were going to get today. Have you informed this other man that he could potentially be the biological father?
Told him.
Me and Mitchell and I did not finish.
There's your dad! There's your dad!
In the case of Casey versus Ewing, Edwards.
Get ready to uncover the most astonishing truth in a riveting saga of paternity. In a world where two men are entangled, the search for the real father becomes a thrilling mystery. Join us as Miss Allen fearlessly confronts Mr. Levant, who denies fathering their 6-month-old daughter. Can she triumph? Let the suspense build.
Why do you think he's denying the baby?
Because of his girlfriend, of course, his girlfriend, telling him lies.
The girlfriend tells him lies?
Yes, Your Honor.
Like what?
No, I don't.
Telling him that the baby don't look like him.
That baby too light.
My baby do not look like, just because I have to like dirt.
Hold on to your seats as this ex-lover's in a dirty fight. It's heartbreaking for a wife to discover her boyfriend's betrayal, but there's more to this tale. Miss Allen claims she had no clue about Mr. Levant's existing girlfriend and children. Was she deceived? The plot thickens.
We was together 2010.
Y'all never was together.
No, yes, we was.
Over the phone?
Okay, first
Over
off,
the phone,
okay, I wasn't talking
really?
to you. Okay.
So wait a minute, I want to understand the nature of this relationship,
It was
Ms.
a
Allen.
long-distance relationship.
They only talk over the phone,
It was a
Your
long-distance
Honor.
relationship.
You lived in one state, he lived in another?
Yes.
Here's the twist. The plaintiff is certain Mr. Levant fathered her baby, despite admitting a dalliance with Mr. Mitchell. She believes the encounter with Mitchell was incomplete, while with Levant, it was conclusive. Even the defendant confessed to his girlfriend about the potential pregnancy. The plot deepens.
Why are you so sure that Mr. Levant is your child's biological father when you admittedly slept with Mr. Mitchell as well during the window?
Me and Mitchell and I did not finish what we did. Me and Jerome and I finished.
Miss Allen, who knows the pain of growing up fatherless, desires the potential baby daddy for herself. But is she breaking a family? Levant's infidelity speaks volumes. Brace yourself for an emotional dilemma of love, loyalty, and justice. Will true justice prevail? The stakes couldn't be higher.
And why are you so upset now?
Because he denied my child. He needs to stand up for a place to be her daddy. I grew up with no daddy, so I know how it feels. So I want my daughter to have her daddy with her. It's a hard life. It hurts me a lot. It really does.
Hold your breath as we watch the reveal of a startling revelation. Despite Mr. Levant's denial, messages paint a different picture. On Valentine's Day, he professed his desire to be a father to Layla. Did fear lead him to lie in court? The truth will leave everyone astounded. Prepare for the ultimate shock.
Those text messages are fake.
That was not
I don't
fake.
know. That's not me.
It wasn't, Your Honor. How the heck do I send
That's
a
not
picture
me.
to myself and text myself? That's his number.
So you believe she fabricated all of this?
Yes.
The time has come to unravel the truth and ignite an explosive climax. Brace yourself as it's revealed that Layla is not Mr. Levant's daughter. Miss Allen denies involvement with anyone else, but suspicions loom large. She faces a soul-searching moment. Prepare for a mind-blowing twist.
You are not the father.
Yes!
What?
Yes.
Alan?
He's the only man I slept with, though.
Get ready for a roller coaster of a story that will have you on the edge of your seat. In a shocking turn of events, a man presumed dead miraculously resurfaces in paternity court. Miss Casey, who believed her father was deceased, confronts Mr. Edward, claiming to be her biological dad. Hold your breath as secrets unravel and emotions run high.
What has it been like to spend your life without a father?
Actually, it been hell, not knowing where I came from. I built a bond with Otis Hawkins, who's on my birth certificate, even though he's not ever been in my life. I do not know what the man looks like. I don't have a picture of him. I don't have anything about him, but he is on my birth certificate.
But hold on tight, because the plot thickens. Mr. Edward has a compelling reason to believe that Miss Casey is his daughter. The same man is the father of her older sister. His regret for losing one child fuels his determination to claim Miss Casey as his own. Prepare for some heart-wrenching drama and unprecedented stakes.
So to be clear, Mr. Edwards is your older sister's father.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Edwards, you weren't in your daughter's life or Miss Casey's life, am I correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
So you reached out to her on social media.
I was looking.
Prepare for an emotional journey as Miss Casey's deep-seated grudges and missed opportunities come to light. With her childhood shrouded in uncertainty, she embarks on a quest to find the person who signed her birth certificate. Will she discover the truth? The weight of blame she carries seems unjust, adding a layer of intensity to this captivating tale.
If you had the opportunity to speak to him, what would you have said?
It would be like a dream come true, like what anybody would love to meet Jesus. I would love to meet him. It would be amazing. I would just ask him a lot of questions like, why did you leave? Is it something that she said to you or did to you to make you leave me?
He didn't leave because of you, LaConda. He left because of me.
Confusion reigns as Miss Casey struggles to uncover her roots. Both Mr. Edward and Mr. Hawkins share African-American heritage, leaving her torn between identities. Just when you think you've seen it all, the judge drops a bombshell. Mr. Hawkins is alive! Get ready for a pivotal moment that promises answers and resolution to Miss Casey's burning questions.
But he's alive. And we found him for you. Jerome, please escort Mr. Hawkins into the courtroom. You need to sit down? You okay?
You go up to the witness stand.
Oh my! Prepare for an astonishing revelation that'll leave you breathless. The information about Mr. Hawkins' death was a fabrication. He treasured a photo of Miss Casey throughout her childhood. Unaware that people were searching for him, misled by false reports of his demise, the mystery deepens. Who could have spread such misinformation, and why? The suspense is palpable.
I never got to see you ever in my life. I never got to lay an eye on you or even speak to you.
You done forgot me. Here's a picture right here, Your Honor. I took her to Mississippi for Christmas. Let you go.
I see you. With all your family.
Mm-hmm.
But wait, there's one more shocking secret waiting to be unveiled. Brace yourself for the most unexpected twist yet. The real father isn't Mr. Hawkins or Mr. Edward. In a jaw-dropping revelation, it's revealed that Mr. Hawkins' brother is the true father. It's an unimaginable turn of events that will leave you stunned. Will Miss Casey find solace amidst the astonishing revelation?
You are not her father. Pertaining to whether Mr. Hawkins is the father of Ms. Casey. Mr. Hawkins, you are not her father.
Fasten your seatbelts, folks, and let's unveil a jaw-dropping revelation that'll shatter all misconceptions. Meet Mr. Harvey, determined to reclaim the $496.52 he spent on a child he doubts is his. Enter Miss Jet, adamant that he embraced fatherhood and support their child.
Mr. Harvey, you are asking the court to award you $496.52 for baby supplies you say the defendant, Ms. Jett, demanded for a child you adamantly deny is yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
In response to Mr. Harvey's suit, you have petitioned the court for the results of a paternity test.
Yes, Your Honor.
Prepare for a wild twist in this gripping tale. A mysterious stranger's photo tag throws baby daddy into a whirlwind of uncertainty. Despite the guy admitting it might be a mistake, the plaintiff remains suspicious. Tension builds as doubt consumes him. Can he trust his instincts? Hold on to your hats, because this suspenseful ride is far from over.
First of all, I put a picture of my daughter on Facebook. Okay?
Why you kept it on there? That's all I gotta say. Yes, and that right there where the arrow is, that's the dude name who she tagged in the picture.
Okay, and I have...
Why would you tag another man's name on your baby's photo?
I did not tag
She claimed that the dude out of nowhere tagged himself in it.
He tagged himself in
and she
the
doesn't know who he
picture
is.
by himself, and I never met him.
Hold your breath, and let's dive into a financial frenzy. Miss Jett insists that the alleged contributions are a mere drop in the bucket, while he argues the state foots the bill. The court becomes a battleground of expenses, leaving us on tenterhooks. Who will emerge victorious in this high-stakes money war? Don't miss a beat, as fortunes hang in the balance.
Ms. Jett, you claim that what he's given you is merely a drop in the bucket, and these are your real expenses.
Yes,
as
it is.
relates to your
I
daughter.
provide all these things by myself.
You provided, the state provided. I'm telling you, the feeding alone, the state provides. She get wigged. The state provides all that 800 something. The state provide all that.
From the moment the cord was cut to this courtroom drama, Mr. Harvey's involvement has taken a sudden nosedive. What could have driven him to abandon his paternal duties? The air crackles with anticipation as the truth behind his disappearance is unveiled. Brace yourself for a revelation that'll leave you stunned.
How did you go from cutting the cord to bringing her to court?
Like, I didn't know Miss Jett, I did not know her. So after she had the baby, that's when I got to know her. And she is not the person that.
Somebody that you don't know?
Because the child, I want to be in a child's life. And if that child mine, I want to be in a child's life.
After a heart-pounding emotional roller coaster, Mr. Harvey fights tooth and nail for the truth. Brace yourself for the bombshell. The baby is not his. Miss Jett's demeanor hints at prior knowledge, and gasps ripple through the courtroom as this shocking revelation sends shockwaves through our souls. Prepare to have your mind blown.
Mr. Harvey, you are not her father.
It's fine. That's fine. It's fine.
Get ready for an enthralling tale of deception and karmic consequences. Picture a daughter ensnared in her own web of lies, now facing the wrath of destiny. Hold on to your seats as this captivating story takes a mind-bending turn. A young woman torn between two men, her friend or her mother's boyfriend. The plot thickens.
Shockingly, you confess it's either a man you shared a sexual relationship with who wants nothing to do with your child, or the defendant who happens to be your mother's boyfriend. Now, Mr. Chenault, you are Ms. Holthouse's mother's boyfriend.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold your breath as Miss Holthouse's mother unveils the shocking truth she was oblivious to. Her daughter's pregnancy. But does she finally know it all? Brace yourselves for the jaw-dropping revelation that, at that very moment, her mother carried the child of Mr. Chenault. Prepare for a twist that'll leave you breathless.
At the moment, I did not know, but as my mom was pregnant with my sister, my sister is Mr. Chenault's daughter. And she was...
Wait. How old is her daughter?
She's about to turn 11 months.
Wait, they still reside together? The situation just got messier, folks. Imagine if he, Mr. Chenault, turns out to be the father. He not only helped raise Miss Bogardus' children, but also embarked on a relationship with the very girl he nurtured. Rules may exist, but will they hold any power in this chaotic love triangle? A heart-wrenching ordeal for Miss Bogardus.
When was the last time you two were intimate? You're in court, tell the truth.
The last time we were intimate, Your Honor, was about September.
September?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Haven't had any more contact?
No, Your Honor.
Hold on tight, because Judge Lake suspects a hidden truth. The demand for a lie detector test sends shockwaves. Why the hesitation if they claim to have parted ways since September? Their refusal speaks volumes, implying a lingering mystery between Miss Holthouse and Mr. Bugardis. Brace yourselves for more revelations in this exhilarating roller coaster ride.
Moving on. So, Ms. Holthouse, are you nervous about these results?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you hoping he's the father? Are you hoping he's not?
No, Your Honor, I really don't hope he's the father.
You hope the other guy is?
Honestly, no, because he wouldn't turn out as a good father. You don't want anything to do with him.
Prepare for a jaw-dropping twist, my friends. Miss Holthouse refuses to acknowledge either man as the baby's father. But fear not, Mr. Chenault is off the hook. A sigh of relief for Miss Bugardis amidst the turbulent affair. Yet amidst this dramatic circus, one thing remains clear. Counseling is imperative for this peculiar family. Get ready for a thrilling ride.
Mr. Chenault, it has been determined by this court. You are not. If you looked up lie in the dictionary, your picture is next to it. I'm telling you right